Hi, my name is Carol Ramey, and in this short video I would like to present a classroom assessment technique called What's the Principal, which can be used as an informal assessment strategy in a variety of classroom situations. What's the Principal can be used whenever students are trying to solve problems, and this can be done in two different ways. You can present students with a problem and ask them to identify the principle that's needed to solve it, or you can present students with problems in which principles have been violated and ask them to identify the principle involved. The idea behind this is to help students both learn the curriculum, the problems, and the principles they need to use, but also to help them generalize which principles can be used to solve which problems. What's the Principal can be used with a variety of curricula. Anything that involves principles, be it very precise principles, as in mathematics, or when more imprecise principles may be used, for example in codes of ethics or practice. This would apply to a variety of science, social science, or applied disciplines, and can be used to learn, generalize, and apply problem-solving skills, and hopefully develop higher order thinking skills for students. What's the Principal addresses several teaching goals. First, higher order thinking skills, including developing problem-solving skills and how to apply them into different situations. Second, basic academic success skills such as study habits, study skills and strategies, and in some situations, mathematical skills. Third, discipline-specific knowledge and skills. These techniques can be used to gain new knowledge, for evaluating materials and methods, and even to transfer into higher programs of study. And finally, career and work preparation. To be successful in this exercise, students must be accurate and skillful, honing their performance. For example, when I teach mathematics, I'm always trying to get my students not to simply memorize the steps involved to solve a specific problem, but to understand which principles they are using as they go through each step, so they can generalize their problem-solving skills to other situations. In this example, students are converting 1/2 into 2/4 in order to add these two fractions. The principle involved is that fractions require a common denominator in order to add them. In a more advanced situation, I would actually ask students to also identify that they are in fact multiplying the 1/2 by 1 in the form of the fraction 2/2 to convert it into 2/4. In this example, the students are given a mathematical problem where an error has been made. Hopefully, students can identify that the numerator in this question should be treated as a single term, and therefore the denominator cannot be cancelled out with only part of the numerator. This classroom assessment technique has several advantages. It's a quick and simple way to reinforce principle recognition, and it focuses students on the recognition of the principle rather than on specific problems. The feedback is immediate on a fairly complex skill, and hopefully it will help students generalize these problem-solving skills, and they can transfer them into other situations and problems even outside of the course curriculum. There are, of course, some cautionary notes to using this classroom assessment technique. Students need to understand that matching the principle to the problem in some situations will not allow them to solve the problem. That's okay, that's not the objective of this exercise. It's simply part of the problem-solving process. You need to be sure that students have mastered the principles and the problems that they are trying to match together so they don't become frustrated with this. And you need to be careful that students don't view this simply as a matching task, that they can generalize the principles to other problems and possibly even to situations outside the course. So to ensure success when using What's the Principle, you need to be sure that students have mastered both the problems and the principles before they give this a try. This work shouldn't be graded. They're probably going to make a lot of mistakes, and they need to feel safe in doing that as they go through the learning process. They're going to need time to work these problems through and possibly to discuss them with their peers as they consider alternate principles for their problems. Feedback should be as immediate as possible, and you may need time to discuss where their principles have differed from the ones you think should be used to solve these problems. You also may need to let the students work through several, if not many, examples of this before they master it and before they generalize it. The students can get feedback on their responses either by talking to their peers about what they think the principle should be, or by the instructor going over the work with the class. The instructor could get feedback by looking at the students' written work, or by getting verbal feedback from the class on their responses. With this feedback, the instructor could determine if review or remedial work is necessary, how quickly they can proceed and increase the difficulty of the material, and hopefully they would become aware of any specific issues or problems students may have with some of the principles they are dealing with. Following best practices for this classroom assessment technique will assure validity. The problems and their principles should be taught in advance and mastered by the students, and examples should be worked by the instructor in advance to assure content validity. Giving ample and prompt feedback, as well as time for students to practice and master this skill, will assure both process and predictive validity. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope you have the opportunity to try What's the Principle in one of your courses.